Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. Are you a goofball that loves Giant football? If so, sit back and relax. Except you, that person driving. Sit up and keep your eyes on the road. Your ears, though, can still listen as we talk about the team that both excites and frustrates us so much. And now, here are your goofball hosts, Drew and Rob.
Welcome, fellow goofballs, to Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. I am Drew, joined as always by...
And me, I'm Rob. Let's talk about Andrew Thomas's big extension.
You know, I thought of you today, Rob. I saw a TikTok, and they were talking about the It's a Me Mario.
It's a me.
Apparently,
I play a golf.
Ishumi is the Japanese word for super.
Ashumi Mario?
It's like he's saying Super Mario because of the Italian accent. I thought that was kind of interesting. I thought
yeah.
I was like,
it's a me. It's so me.
Ishumi.
Yeah. To me, Mario.
So apparently Ishumi is super. So I don't know. I don't speak Japanese. That's all on TikTok. We'll see if it's true maybe one day. Maybe someone can let us
Domo
know.
arigato, Mr. Roboto. Domo. Domo. But all my Japanese.
Alrighty, guys. So if you're wondering why we're in such a great mood today, it's because Joe Shane is on fire. And I don't mean the literal version, like no one has to put him out with a fire extinguisher.
Not a carry.
This man is on a tear through the GM world. You know, you start off the offseason here by re-signing Daniel Jones. When most people thought that would not get done, he gets it done. He gets it done in a way that is a very low cap number in year one as well, which helps the Giants do what they got to do. You know, he rebuilds weapons for this team. He goes ahead and gets us one of the top linebackers in the free agency. Then he goes ahead and gets Sexy Dexy, a huge deal, which he deserves. Let's be honest. He deserves the base of how he played last year. And then they go ahead and get Saquon to not sign a long-term, but do what I think they wanted in the end and just do the franchise tag for the year. And they get him to show up and report to camp on time. Now.
Yeah. And making Saquon happy as well at the end of it. As much drama as there was building up to it.
I can still say, I don't know if I can say he's healthy or not, but
no, happy.
I mean, happy or not. Happy, I mean, I'm sorry. I don't know if he's happy or not. But
happy as much as can be.
He's there at least. He's there at least, and he's willing to play on the tag. Pretty much, it is what it is there. Today we got this 6'5", 315-pound icing on the cake here by getting a long-term deal done. A long-term deal done on a young offensive tackle stud, Andrew Thomas. So, yeah, I mean, that's so much done in one off season for a guy that had like no cap space pretty much too. We really didn't have a ton of cap space. I mean, we were paying like almost like $50 million combined between Leonard Williams and Kenny Galladay, who's not even on the team. And he's still getting all this stuff done. That's just absolutely freaking amazing. So kudos, Joe Shane, before we even get to the details of this deal, because I tip my hat to you, sir. I tip my hat.
Me too.
So let's get to the deal. So Andrew Thomas signed a 5-year extension. Keep in mind, it's an extension, so he still has the deals that was in place. He's just adding on to it. So 5 years, $114.5 million. With that, $67 million guaranteed, which is a record for offensive linemen in the NFL. Now, keep in mind, when I say that, it'll be a record for a week or two, probably. I mean, I guarantee there's somebody out there that's going to break that. It's not like it's astronomical, unheard of. Oh my God, what the hell were they thinking? It's not that type of thing at all. Contract-wise, if you go based on the average annual salary, he's still barely second now. So he's getting paid like a top tackle, don't get me wrong. But it's not like they went out and did something crazy, unheard of, obscene to go, what the hell? So Andrew Thomas in that deal ends up at $23.5 million average. Laramie Tunsil is at $25 million. He's number one. Trent Williams, $23 million. Very close. David Bakhtiari, $23 million. Lane Johnson, $20 million. So it's not like it's that crazy, that unheard of. It's not like they gave him $30 million on something crazy. And they were able to do that because of the fact they got him to sign on early. It wasn't like they had to do some kind of long-term deal against the clock a couple of years from now. So in a couple of years, if he continues the way he has been, this is going to be a steal. And I would say that Rob looks extremely shocked by this. Or, yes, we just lost Rob. Rob was so excited he had to go. But, I mean, it's a steal to me. I don't see any way that this goes down in any way, shape, or form where this is not a good deal. Because Andrew Thomas has proven now that he's a top flight tackle. He's had 2 years of solid play now. And you don't typically regress in that type of position unless you have a major injury. There's always a risk. There is no risk-free contract. I don't want to make it seem like this is no way this is blow up in the face. But this has got to be as safe a deal as possible for one of the youngest stars in this league at this point. A guy who will probably be in the next year or two considered the best left tackle in all of football. Because let's not forget, Trent Williams has to retire eventually. He's been around the league for quite a while now. So, you have to think that he's going to either start stepping down a little bit in quality or eventually start walking away. He's 35 years old after all. Laramie Tunsil is probably the other guy that's in that, range as being one of the best, and he's still just 28, so he'll probably be playing for a little while. So probably between the two of those in a couple of years as far as who's a top tackle in the league here. But my money, I'm putting it right on Andrew Thomas because of what he's had to play with. The guy's been amazing playing next to basically scrubs the whole entire time. Let's be honest, he really hasn't had any consistency at the guard position. I haven't heard the final number lately on how many guards he's had next to him. But wow. It feels like there's like 5 or 6 guys that play next to him every single season. And he still just does his thing. And he does it without a single complaint. And he just keeps on rocking it. Let's get to the comments here real quick while we're waiting to see if we can get Rob back on here. Deb says, love the new opening. Much appreciation. There's a little bit of time there I had to go through to get that going for us there. I want to do it where we can not do the whole 5 minutes if we get done a little early. But yeah, I like the way it came out. Appreciate it. Robert Kinsella. What's up, guys? What's up, Robert? Stan Jones. All hail Joe Shane unlocking up our core members to the team. Yeah, like I said, I'm never going to say I don't have a single complaint. There's always something I can say, yeah, I'm just that guy. I'll find one thing or so to be not fully satisfied with. But in the end, I think he did a damn good job, and about as good a job as you can, considering the cap constraints he had, considering, what he started with. It's really hard to do a much better job than what he did there. Stan says, I know it's so hard to believe we actually have a competent GM, unlike his despicable predecessor. Yeah, night and freaking day. And as good as Gettleman was at times at drafting, because Gettleman was a horrible drafter. I know we all hate Gettleman, but in the end, Gettleman was just horrendous at trades, at free agent signings. That's just stuff that he just was not very good at. Let's see. Connor says, Drew, were you scared of the storm? I was scared to lose power during the storm, that's for sure. My power actually flickered a couple times here, and I actually lost it for a second there. So didn't want to be having to go out there in the middle of the show there for you guys. See, Stan says, it just goes to show what Shane can get done with more flexibility after one full year and offseason with the Giants. And just wait to see what happens. I mean, he's going to have more money, and more money as these things, keep on going. And he clears more of the issues and the debt that was created by Gettleman. Deb says, Rob, dude, start a GoFundMe for a new phone. Connor says, you're right, different. Lamar Adams. Well, what do we hear from Lamar here after now that Saquon signed up? And of course, the next question is, will Saquon Barkley get paid by 2024? No, he can't be paid by 2024. He may get paid in 2024, but keep in mind now, he can't get signed until after the season is over. So we'll have to see. They'll revisit everything there, and we'll see what happens. But it all depends on how well he plays. I don't think the Giants want to pay him. I really don't. I still stick by that. I said from the get-go. I think the Giants wanted to tag him. That was their goal from the get-go. They got what they wanted. Joe Shane won. Stan Jones says, Will Hernandez was hot trash bags. Yeah, it's a shame because he wasn't so bad the first year. But after that, he definitely was just absolute trash. Let's see. I do see Rob, by the way, in the background here. We'll see. Maybe we can get a Rob sighting here in a minute. As he's getting everything set up there. He's got to give me the cue that he's all ready, and we'll pop him back on here. Oh, he gave me the cue. Oh,
hey.
There he is. There he is.
I was confused. Were you going through the store or am I?
I don't know what's going on here. I feel like you're giving me a soliloquy each episode now. It's like a Shakespearean soliloquy. So let's see. We got a couple more. We got a couple more comments here. Oh, we're losing you, Rob, again. We're losing you again, Rob. Did you not pay the cell phone bill again?
I just paid it last episode.
Let's see. Lamar. Oh, we just put that one there. Stan Jones, I think they tag him again. Again, depends on how things go. Connor says, thought you could offer a deal even if you tag them. Connor, you can't until after the season is over. You cannot do anything more than the 1-year deal, which is what they've done now. Lamar says, tag Jones paid Saquon Barkley.
That's a silly comment.
Reverse. We paid Jones, we tagged Saquon. It's a smarter move to make. It really is. Stan says, I'm fairly new to watching this podcast. Do you guys go over fantasy football stuff the closer we get to drafts, etc.? You know what? Rob, I can tell you this. Rob hates fantasy football. He hates it with a passion.
Oh, yeah.
Rob loves fantasy football.
I'll bring up fantasy football.
I share my thing. I don't mind playing fantasy football, but I'm going to tell you this. This is one of those things that's luck based that people, I think, like to portray it as if it's talent. There is a talent to it, don't get me wrong, to get yourself into like having one of the better teams in a league. But who wins? A lot of times it's luck. It really is.
Yes, no. So the guy that drafts well and then does good.
No, but it's based on who has a freak injury. It's based on who plays, when their team towards the end of the season. I feel like that's an issue I've had before. Like I'll like lose because somebody decides to sit players down at the end of the year because they're already in the playoffs.
Yeah, I'm not a fan of number one draft. I had him last year. Who do I go with? Jonathan Taylor, who was a bust for your number one.
That didn't go.
But I still made it. I still got third place in the play.
Like I said, I always do good whenever I play. I just typically think that my team, and maybe it's me being cocky, that my team is better than the team that it won, and that the reason I lost in the end in the playoffs is because of the fact that I had one or two players that I counted on that were now resting because their team was already set up and their coach didn't want to play them, or they played them for just a little bit.
That means your fantasy went too late into the year.
Yeah, I'm just saying.
That means your
that's what I feel like. That's what I feel like happens. All right, let's see. We got Connor says, Roberto, you should get a serious discount. You can use as proof your plan sucks. Lamar says, can you win the Super Bowl without Saquon Barkley? Yes. Yes, you can, Lamar. I think the past 10, 15 years of Super Bowl winnings has shown you don't need a stud running back anymore to win the Super Bowl. You need a good defense and a good quarterback with a decent offensive line. That's the recipe.
Yeah, when was the last time a stud running back was on a Super Bowl cover?
We talked about this before. Marshall Lynch, probably the last one.
Yeah.
It's probably the last one. And, it's not like he was a 2,000-yard back and that kind of stud. He was just he was a B-tier running back, really, if you think about it.
Yeah.
I mean, Marshawn Lynch is not the guy to go, oh, this guy's going to make it to the Hall of Fame. He was that good. He wasn't that good. He was a damn good player. Yeah. He was not Hall of Fame caliber good player there. I'm trying to look real quick to see his Super Bowl year at that point. What year did they win the Super Bowl? I'm trying to think here. Now I got to look it up because now it's going to bother me. Like, was he that good then or not? Because he did have a couple of strong years.
I don't think he was not that good. I think he was just good
2014. So 2014, he was a 1,300-yard rusher. That was the year they won. So, but if you look at it, the guy had 10,000 yards for his career. He had a 4-year stretch from 11 to 14 that he had a lot of those. So, he had 4 or 5, like more than half of his rushing yards in those 4 years. So, again, very good player, but he's not the kind of caliber player that you win a Super Bowl around either. He just happened to be dealing with the young Russell Wilson. So, all right, let's see here. We got a couple more comments here. Connor says, what was that?
Also with the very
I think we're losing Rob again.
Boom.
Oh, there he is. I thought I lost you, Rob.
I'm right here.
Your life was flashing before my eyes.
I'm right here.
Where are you? Marco? Marco?
Polo.
Connor says, Oni fantasies with hot women. So stupid, this fantasy football. Must be set up by some nerds. LOL. Just kidding, Urkel. Yeah, no, we'll definitely be doing a fantasy football.
Yeah.
I think we definitely will at some point. I think Rob will cry if we don't. We'll just have to make sure we get him better internet first.
Yeah.
Let's see. Lamar says, would you pay King Henry or Saquon in 2024? I wouldn't pay any running back. I would not pay a running back. It's shown to not be the way to win. Now we have him, so as long as he's a top flight running back, we're going to pay him. As long as we do it short-term deals like that. But no one's going to pay this running back big numbers anymore. It's just not going to happen, guys. This is not the NFL we live in anymore. All right. On to the topic of training camp. So one of the things we wanted to look at there is questions we want to ask as far as training camp. Like, we want to see the outcomes of these topics here during training camp. We want to see how things play out. Number one, how does Jones look? Remember last year, everybody was talking about how horrible Daniel Jones looked in training camp. We found out later on that it was Dable and Wink Martindale having a little fun, and Dable was messing with him to see how he'd react. But people are ready to go, oh my God, Tyrod Taylor should start maybe. I mean, that's how bad the buzz of Daniel Jones was coming out of training camp this year. Last year, sorry. I want to see how he looks this year.
Yeah, last year.
Yeah. I want to see how confident he is. I want to see how much zip he's got in the ball. I want to see how much he's throwing the ball around to all these different targets he has that we all wish he had last year. I want to see the difference. I want to see the progression in his second year of offense here. I want to see improvement. I want to see him say, I'm worth $40 million, and I'm going to goddamn prove it. That's what I want to see out of this man. So
whatever. I'm going to the ball. Okay. I got paid.
Oh, we're losing you again, Rob. So I also want to see, how about the rookies? I want to see how they're doing overall. I want to see how they are, progressing overall. Obviously the big one's going to be Deonte Banks, because he has to step up and start pretty much right away. So I want to see how he's doing. I want to see how JMS is doing, who's pretty much fighting for a spot potentially to start. I want to see, how is Jalen Hyatt looking? Is he a project like some people have said, or is he a guy that is much further along like he suggested in the past? That's a question. And I'll tell you this, one guy that I'm really curious how he plays this training camp here is Javarius Owens, who is a 7th-round pick, and obviously you don't have much you hope out of a 7th-round pick. But in OTAs, he looked good. You kept on hearing about him being there for the plays when it mattered. I want to see what Owens does now in the training camp and see if he can force his way into some playing time when they go into like dime nickel packages, 3 safety sets. I don't expect him to get a starting position starting off as a rookie, as a 7th-round pick. But if this man can get some playing time right off the bat, he has a chance to show something this year. I really think he does. I want to see what happens at the 2 up for grab spots there on the offensive line. Who's going to start a left tackle? I'm sorry, left. We know who's going to start a left tackle. Who's going to start a left guard? Who's going to start at center? That's the 2 positions that there really is some movement going around. I need to see what's going to happen there, because we've talked about it before. Evan Neal is probably going to be the deciding factor in how good this line is overall. The second most important position, though, that we need to see the growth out of is that left guard spot. Right guard is going to be Glowinski. We all know pretty much what's going to happen there. We just got to hope he has a bounce back year and gets what he used to do as opposed to what he did last year. But that left guard position, if Bredesen or Zudu steps up, that could really help this line here. You got Rob back. Rob, are you back?
I'm right here.
He's back. He's back and more pixelated than ever. You're like a bad photo that didn't quite come through during dial-up days right now.
Like the Napster right now.
The Napster goofball over here. So we want to see
another 45 minutes. Get another pixel.
We want to see who wins that second safety position. So we've talked about it before. Obviously, Xavier McKinney is going to be the guy at the 1 position there. We have to see, though, who's going to go ahead and take that second starting safety spot? Who is going to be the person that's going to take away what was Julian Love's spot on this defense? That was an important position on the Giants defense last year. And we need to see if there's a person on this roster that can step up and do that, whether it be a Nick McLeod, a Dane Belton, a Jason Pinnock, a Javarius Owens, like we talked about a moment ago. I mean, Bobby McCain. There's a lot of different options. There's a lot of different options here. And this is probably the most loaded conversation here for, a roster starting position on who could take it, basically. I want to see what happens. I want to see also who wins that second linebacker position. A lot of people expected Jared Davis to take that second spot there next to Bobby Okereke. Rob and I, from the get-go, have been saying #Save Our Beavers. We want to see Darian Beavers in action. He looked pretty good in the preseason. He's young. We know what Jared Davis is. He's an okay linebacker. I want better than okay. I want to build young. I want to build good players at that point. Darian Beavers. Hopefully he's that guy. We're going to find out. So I want to know also, though, how does this wide receiver depth chart take place? Like what happens here? We have 15 wide receivers on the roster right now. Like, there's no way half these guys are making the roster. And you're going to have some names that are, I don't want to say household names, but you're going to have some names that are NFL names, like legit NFL names, that are going to go to the wayside. So instead of us being the people that we go, oh, can we go ahead and get this guy off this other people's practice squad? Can we stop this other person at that point? It's going to be players trying to pluck our cuts this year. That's going to be a weird feeling, especially at the wide receiver position. When someone goes, oh my God, Jamison Crowder's available. I need a wide receiver because so-and-so got hurt.
That's definitely what's going to happen.
I'm just saying, like, that's a legit scenario. You could legit see, and after picking guys off the streets last year, like 2/3 of the way through the season. This is a great thing to have that kind of problem there,
100%. Especially once you talk about these other guys getting healthy, coming back off the pup.
Yeah, I mean, and when that happens, talk about a really loaded, wide receiver room there. I hope they give them the big room to have their team meetings in, whatever the biggest room is. Usually, you put the linemen in there.
They get the banquet hall.
Yeah, they need the banquet hall at the wide receiver room at this point. Another question.
Booth.
Does Darren Waller stay healthy? This could be one of the biggest factors in whether or not the offense overall takes a step forward, because the only player that you can legit say has been a number one target, a number one weapon on this roster at any point in their career, at least in the NFL, because they all were pretty much number one targets in college, is Darren Waller. He's the only guy who you can sit there and say has been a 1,000-yard receiver, has been a legit, weapon that defenses have to be afraid of. Now,
I mean, if you listen to our training camp, spring training, he's damn OTA. Good guy. Yeah, her OTA. Ota.
I mean, Shepard's been, a 900, 800-yard guy before. A guy like Slayton has hit 700 yards, like 3 times in his career. I mean, you've had guys that have done legit things in the NFL. I'm not trying to say otherwise as far as that. But we talked all year long about we need a number one. We need a number one. We need a number one. Guess what? Here's our number one. So can Darren Waller stay healthy so he can be that number one? That's a question.
That's a question only time can tell, because you can't just predict it. And if you want to go by history, he might get hurt. But apparently he looks so good.
For the rest of this question, we're going to bring on Miss Cleo to find out. Oh, no, she died and she didn't see it coming. Call me now.
Right now, man.
Last question here. And this is one that I think we have to probably won't even know if it happens or not till later on in the season here. I want to know, does Brian Dable and the rest of the coaching staff play any kind of Jedi mind tricks on any players this year, like they did, as you mentioned earlier, to Daniel Jones last year, when they were literally telling Wink Martindale what play was going to happen just to make Jones look bad, just to put him in a scenario to see how he'd react. That was a Jedi mind trick, 100%. I want to see what they do this year. Do they do it to somebody else?
Like I said last episode, maybe Evan, but I don't know.
We are losing you again, Rob, and you are very delayed.
God.
You leave the guns out of this. Alrighty, guys.
I would expect them to do it anyway.
I don't expect them to do anybody, really. I think that was just getting to know people. I don't think there's anybody they want to get to know. If they're going to try to test anybody, I would say this. Deonte Banks is somebody I would test a little bit. I just want to see what he's made of if I'm a coaching staff, because he's going to deal with trials and tribulations throughout the season, especially at corner, especially starting as a rookie. It's the one guy I'd kind of want to see what he's made of. But I don't know if you want to push him too much and kill his confidence. So I think they probably just don't do any of those at all this year. We'll see. Could be wrong. Been wrong before. But I want to see if they do have to do it. All right. Let's go quickly into our report from day one here, because today was the first day of training camp. The first day. Everybody's back at school, breaking out their Spider-Man lunch boxes. So here's all the reports we got here. And so obviously I live in Florida, so I could not go to the training camp. Obviously, Rob has to work for a living, so he can afford a new phone. He's not able to go either at that point there. So here's the reports we got here. So Jones, by all accounts, looks great. Jones looks great by all accounts. I mean, I've heard multiple people that are higher up in Giants media, like well-respected people, say great things about him. Art Stapleton even said that he's never seen him throw the ball any harder before. And
yes.
that's a confidence thing right there. That means I'm confident in what I'm doing. I'm confident where you're supposed to be. You better be there.
He threw, what, 3 touchdowns?
Daniel Jones.
He threw 3 touchdown passes. Guess who? What? Waller?
Waller. Watch Waller be a touchdown machine, which he never really has been in his career except for 1 year. But watch it be that. I mean, I saw one catch by Waller where it was just insane. He was like up above the goalpost, like catching this thing. And Jordan Raanan said that Waller was a matchup nightmare, and he is their number 1 receiver. He said linebackers flat out could not handle him. It's going to be a matchup nightmare for a lot of the teams we're facing here. I'm telling you, there's not a lot of guys that can face Waller on a one-on-one and win, because he's going to be one of 2 things: too slow or too weak. They're either not going to be able to take the hits that he's going to give in the first couple of yards, or they're not going to be able to keep up with him running-wise. Bobby Skinner of Talking Giants there said that there were a lot of 12 personnel and that Daniel Bellinger looked very good in it, which is great to hear. Listen, I want a huge year out of Daniel Bellinger. I really do, because part of me feels bad for him. The Giant fan in me loves that we got Darren Waller. There's a part of me, though, that says, oh, that sucks for Bellinger. Now, he can learn from Waller to be a better receiver and then be a better complete tight end overall as a whole. And I hope that's the outcome of what happens. And he seems to have the proper mindset to go that route.
Yeah, I don't think he's ever going to probably be as productive yard-wise as Waller in his career for season on seasons, but he was an all-around good player at that position. It's gonna be Bellinger. He's a great blocker. He's going to get the yards. He's going to get 1,000-yard seasons. Probably not. But if he gets 600 yards for you, that's perfectly okay. I was about to say, if he's a 500-600-yard guy and blocks the way he blocks, then that's a skill that the NFL will keep with it for a long time. That's for sure. Whether it's with us or somebody else down the road eventually, that'll be a long career if you can do that kind of stuff and stay healthy. So we talked about the linebacker 2 battle. So Darian Beavers was clearly in the lead at that battle, at least for this practice. But Micah McFadden was definitely not being hidden. He was definitely being utilized. He's definitely a guy you saw on the field as well. So it does appear there was big talks about there was much improvement.
I couldn't hear you there, man.
I was saying there was a lot of improvement of Michael McFadden. That was a lot of talk, but like I said, Beach won.
Yeah, dude, we're losing you again.
Balls.
But yeah, so as far as the offensive line setup, we talked about that as well. Ben Bredesen was the starting center for today, and Josh Azuda was the starting left guard. Now, that doesn't mean JMS is not going to necessarily start at center. It's not an atypical thing at all for NFL teams to force in quotation marks there a rookie to go ahead and get to earn that spot at that point there and kind of prove to them like nothing's handed to you. That's not going to happen. Like we're not going to throw you this job at that point there. And I do fully expect him to earn that job. I don't think there's a doubt in my mind that JMS will be the starter week 1. That's why we didn't talk about him as, who starts at center. Like there's not a doubt in my mind. It's a matter of now just Bredesen or Azudu at left guard. And I wouldn't take anything from the fact that Azudu was at left guard and Bredesen was at center for this, because Azudu doesn't play center. Bredesen, they wanted to try him at center. And this gives them a chance for Bredesen to be potentially the backup center. So get him some time. He really hasn't played a lot. At the Giants training camp. Jason Pinnock was at least for today. I think they'll probably try some different guys at different places throughout these training camps here until they know what they want to do. But Jason Pinnock was the second safety on the roster there for most of the day there. You could say he has the inside track as a starter based on that, but again, I wouldn't put too much stock in it. I would say he seems to have the lead since they put him out there today, but I wouldn't say inside track because, like I said, they're going to try a lot of guys this position. I really think. It wouldn't even shock me if there really is no set starter at that position for much of the year, and they just maneuver things around and put who they think is the best matchup nightmare, basically, for the opposing offense. There'd be a lot of sensibility doing that, considering what they got. The last note is Cole Beasley, who obviously we just signed. We talked about him on Monday as being assigned. He was just signed on Friday, I think, initially. So less than a week as a New York Giant. And you're seeing a lot of Cole Beasley. Obviously he's healthy. Not a lot of the guys are. We talked about some of those kind of things. But you're seeing a lot of a guy that's been with the team for less than a week. And it makes you wonder, is this because of availability? Or is this the Giants going, hey, this wasn't a BS signing. We wanted to do this a while ago. Because remember, they wanted to do it all last year. I'm kind of curious when I read that from multiple people, what's going on with Cole Beasley? Is Cole Beasley legit? Is this the actual signing that they were like, okay, we've been missing this on our roster. Let's get some Cole Beasley action going.
I don't think he's going to play 100% of snaps, nowhere near it, but he's definitely going to play a lot more.
Yeah, I don't expect him that. Like I said, I think if he gets 500-600 yards for us, that's a success for him. That's a success. Yeah. At his age, at where he's at, being as crowded as that receiver room is, especially at slot receiver. So we'll see what happens there. All right, we got a couple more comments here. We'll go over real quick with you guys here. Let's see here. Oh, here we go. Connor says, I saw some stuff online. Still need to get ball out faster. Not blaming Jones completely. These guys have to get open faster, quicker options, and possibility for deep throw. Keep in mind, Connor, too, a lot of these guys he's never thrown to. That's part of it. He's never thrown to Jalen Hyatt really too much. I mean, besides the little bit of practice they've had so far in OTAs and all. But he's never thrown to Jalen Hyatt. He's never thrown to Cole Beasley. He's never thrown to Paris Campbell. When they come back, I mean, Sterling Shepard's been around a while, but Wandale, he's only thrown for a year, so it's not like those guys are in sync like that either. Look at Jeff Smith, first year playing together. There's a lot of first timers on that wide receiver room, so give it some time on that. I think some of that will kind of get going as time goes on and they get a little more comfortable with each other and know what they do.
That's also the first day of practice. Let's not beat them up on the first day of practice. It's more about getting your pace, your stride, and your rhythm in.
Yeah.
Pressure speed.
Connor says, what the hell happens with Roberto's connection? It's crazy. Maybe upgrade to platinum. He says, Roberto, have you changed out the equipment yet? LOL. Then he said, I like the Beavers, LOL. That's not what I heard, Connor. I heard you're very anti-Beaver. Deb says, I want to see Jalen Hyatt. I really hope he does well. I'll say this. I hope every Giant does well, but Jalen Hyatt, if you can put him and Darius Slayton on opposing sides and let the two of them just go for 9 routes, like, good luck with that defenses. Good luck. You're going to do one of two things. You're going to open up the shorter mid routes at that point for guys like Waller and Saquon, or you're going to go ahead and have one of those two guys wide open for a touchdown. Like, that's what's going to happen. Connor says, good luck, Jalen, however you spell it, as he spells it multiple ways. Just keep on spelling it the different ways, Connor. You'll get it right. He said it'll be great. It'll be great. 2 tight ends that can get open, but can they both block to get us that big play?
One can.
Yeah, one can. I mean, we already know that one can. Waller's just not a good blocker, guys. Bellinger is a good blocker. Waller's more the guy that does what he has to do to just barely get by at that. He's more of a big receiver.
I was about to say, he's a super receiver is what he is.
Yeah. Like I said, it's not he can't block. He's just not the best at it. Let's see. Connor says, stop staring at me like that, Roberto. It's creepy, LOL. So funny when he gets frozen on screen. That says, thought I read that Barkley said the plan last year was to use him as a receiver, but that fell through because he had to run too much. Barkley said that. I'll leave it at that in that regard, like, because I don't want to like say that he's wrong, but he did say that. But I've only heard Barkley say that, so I can't sit there and say, like I feel like the last year is so far gone that Dable could be like, yeah, I really wish we could have used him more often. Receiving game, it is what it is. We had to pound the rock with him, blah blah blah. Like I don't know. I think part of what it was he thought that was the plan, and I think the Giants from the get-go plan on just running the ball until they were comfortable enough with the offense with Daniel Jones throwing it. Because how many games did he have like 120, 140 yards in the beginning of the season?
About half the year.
Yeah. And then the second half, he started,
170
yards going. 100% more, started getting more. And I think that's what that was, is they were purposely trying to bring Jones along slowly to build him back up again and, see what he had by the end of the season there, but not crush him at that point, So, I mean, again, I have no inside info on that. That's just my own personal opinion. But again, if you look at the yards he had, they definitely went up as the year went on. I mean, he had here's his game log here. I got it up. So his first 4 games, 188 yards, 176 yards, 196 yards, 71 yards. Yeah, that's not too good. So
was that again?
He didn't eclipse 200 yards once in the first 4 games. So week 4 was that Chicago Bear one. So he was hurt also for part of that. So I mean, that's part of that definitely.
Yeah.
But I was saying he didn't eclipse 200 yards once in the first 4 games. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 times in the other 13 games he eclipsed 200 yards. Twice he eclipsed 300 yards. So yeah. That's pretty much a big difference there. Let's see.
Total yards, or that just passing yards?
That's just passing yards. Deb says, who the heck did he have to throw to that actually could catch? Jones did too much running. I'm sure that wasn't planned. Keep in mind what I'm saying there at the beginning. He had Saquon there at the beginning of the games there. He had Wandale still in the beginning. They had Kenny Galladay still in the beginning. All the guys were still healthy. It wasn't until later on that. Tony was on the field, but there was other issues going on in the very beginning. Remember, he was
still there.
So, like I said, again, I have no inside info. It's just my own personal opinion that's what happened. They wanted to bring him slowly because they wanted to build him back up. It's the whole tear him down and build him back up thing. Same as they tore him down during the messed me around and worst of all. But that's what they did during the training camp and all. They built him, they broke him down, and then during the season they built him back up again. And he's a different player now. So we'll have to see how different he is now that he actually has weapons, because you're not wrong in that later on in the year. But again, later on in the year is when he had a lot better games. He had 177 yards only against the Colts, but that's because they were crushing the Colts. They weren't even throwing the ball that much later on. They had 334 yards against the Vikings. Then he had 2 games against the Commanders and the Eagles where he had about 160 some odd yards, but then had 200 yards against the Commanders, 228 against the Cowboys, 341 against the Lions there. So like I said, I think giving him the actual weapons and having the confidence together like he has now, I think we actually can see some decent things from Daniel Jones this year. Let's see. Connor says Drew can count 1, 2, 3, 4. I see what you did there. I see what you did. Alrighty, guys. So we got to figure out still what we're doing at that point. Rob, do you want to do an episode tomorrow? Do we not want to do an episode? We got to let everybody know. We didn't even talk about this yet, you and I. We talked about it briefly.
We do a surprise episode.
So what was that?
We have to do an episode. Can we do a surprise episode? We do like a pop quiz.
So tune in on Thursday, and maybe we'll be here. Maybe we won't. No, you know what? Here's what we'll do. Guys. I'll do it this way. So we still have to do our monthly Q&A for subscribers. And we're going to do this one a little different. We're going to open this up for everybody the first time. So why don't we do that tomorrow? And then that way people get to see what the Q&A episode exactly is. Next month after that, it's officially going to be just subscribers only for that once a month. So if anybody wants to subscribe at that point, all you have to do is go over. Oh, yes. They're segueing here now like that. You have to just go over to buymeacoffee.com/2giantgoofballs. Subscriptions start at just $5 a month there. Or you can also do one-time, sponsorships for episodes as well. But like I said, that we'll do that then tomorrow. We'll do our Q&A episode there. So good time as training camps opening up, or do a Q&A there. People can ask us different questions, see what we're thinking on things that we may not have touched base on, that may be kind of curious on. So we'll get that rolling for you guys there. We'll have that on tomorrow night there for you. Deb says, will the subscriber one be on YouTube too? So this one will be, because we're going to put this out for everybody at that point there. Going forward after this, it'll only be in the subscriber Facebook group as well. So like I said, we'll have this one on there, but then going forward, it'll just be on the Facebook group, subscriber group there at that point. So, all righty, guys. So we'll see you tomorrow night. Think of some questions, guys. Think of some questions. Think. And then, like I said, we'll be back on for you guys tomorrow night, 9 p.m. Eastern Standard Time, as always, on Facebook, YouTube, Twitter, Twitch, and Rob's favorite,
Drew's LinkedIn page.
Oh, yes, my LinkedIn page. And, of course, we're on audio afterwards as well, typically every about an hour or two afterwards on every single major podcast platform. We're going to put this one on the audio, but it will typically, the monthly Q&A will only, again, be in the subscriber group that's on Facebook. So,
and our fans.
All right. It's like our OnlyFans. Rob will show a little skin. All righty, guys. We'll see you tomorrow night. And as always, Giant fans, go G-Man! Go G-Man! G-Man!
All right.
Thanks for listening to Two Giant Goofballs, a New York Giants podcast. We appreciate your support. If you made it this long, you must have enjoyed it. So I am sure you have followed us on all the social media platforms. Of course, you have subscribed to the show on your favorite app as well and given us a top rating. Right? Right? Right?